Next chapter. Jailbirds. Check. Aye. Hey, Paddy Joe, he said through the bars. That's not my name. Can I have my phone back? What rhymes with cheese? Please? No, you cannot. Fucker, what about a newspaper? The guard handed him a newspaper. Peter flicked through it. The story of the man who was stabbed in London was mentioned. Father of 2 young children. Peter read the paper for an hour. His lids grew heavy and he fell back asleep. He dreamt of Michelle. They were 18 again, walking out on the Strand laughing. They sat down on a bench. I don't want you to worry, Pete. About what? John boy. I'm not that worried. It'll all be fine, Michelle. I want you to know that he's safe, Pete. Don't be sad. Tell Siobhan he's safe. Peter jumped out of a dream. 2 hours had passed. In the distance he could see a television with 1 o'clock news playing. Gardaí are investigating a possible homicide in the Irishtown area. A burnt-out car with its victim inside at the time was found on London Bridge Road. The incineration of the vehicle was so severe, police were only able to identify the victim by his wedding band as well as confirming ownership of the vehicle. The victim is John Coyle of London Bridge Road and was last known to have left Ringsend Park late yesterday evening. Gardaí are asking anyone. You fuckers, what have you done? Peter screamed from his cell. A torrent of memories came at him of Lansdowne dance, their Miami Vice outfits, being best man in each other's weddings, John boy holding Jackie at her christening, years sitting beside him in classrooms, giggling, John boy's graduation from Kevin Street, and how proud Peter was. All of these memories sat floating on a surface, now gathering together by a wave that knocked Peter to his knees. What's wrong with you, boy? You fuckers, you killed him. Who? Who killed who? Him, Peter screamed while pointing to the TV. The news had moved on to other stories. The guard looked confused. I don't know what you're talking about. Peter got up from the floor and sat on his bed, a prisoner from the world. 13, he said out loud. With everything going on, he'd forgotten about 13. He was in prison, but 13 wasn't. He'd sent 13 to the authorities in Paris. 13! No response. He closed his eyes and mustered all his concentration. Nothing. Miss, how did you get down here? He overheard a guard say in the distance. I'm his daughter. You shouldn't be down here. Jackie, he screamed. She looked his way and smiled. To Peter, it appeared to happen in slow motion. Before his brain could catch up with the images, Jackie had the guard in a chokehold. Other guards ran to his assistance but couldn't pull her off. After the first guard went unconscious, she handled all the others in the same fashion. One by one, they went down. The guard who was armed from the night before pulled out his revolver, but to no avail. She had it out of his possession in seconds and struck the side of his head with the weapon. Peter realized this was not his daughter. Peter's cell door opened. Come with me if you want to live. It was even delivered using a recording of Arnold's voice. Nice touch, said Peter. They got into the lift, pressed G and headed for the exit. 2 guards, upon hearing the noise from below, tried to apprehend them, but Agent 7 had them unconscious within seconds. Once outside, Peter saw Jackie's car with Jackie behind the wheel. Hurry up, Pierce Street Station is probably emptying out by now and they're coming here. Don't speed, you'll get pulled over. How did she get here so fast? He asked, pointing to Agent 7 in the back seat, whose face was now changing. I flew her in this morning. Where are we going? Off this island as fast as we can. There's a 2:30 p.m. ferry leaving for Holyhead, said 7. Dad, buy the tickets online, please. They took my phone. Here's mine. Peter purchased 3 tickets. He looked at the agent, and as she had changed her identity back to what Peter assumed was the photograph on her current passport. 7 handed Peter his passport. Thinking ahead, that's my girl. I told Jerry, the maintenance man, I'd go out with him if he'd let me into your apartment. Just 1 drink though, Jerry, I said. They pulled the car onto the boat. left it below and went into the public area. Jackie pulled out a laptop. That's John Boy's laptop. Yes, Dad, it is. They fucking got him, Jackie. I know, Dad, I'm sorry. He was my best friend. Like I need more tragedy. Jackie grabbed his hand. We need to focus and finish out this work, Dad. She continued to pull up some files. He was able to copy important files. He came over to my house last night when he couldn't get a hold of you. I told him to stay, as they'd be at his house, but he left worried about Siobhan. He left the laptop with me. Peter looked at 7 in the back seat. How are you still connected to her? They disconnected me from 13. I was lucky. I got her here before they took her offline. I got her on a late flight last night as soon as John Boy came over and showed me the files. I knew we had to get out of here and needed an escort. How are you controlling her then? They have a local setting, a Bluetooth-like setting, if you will. Long and the short of it is they can't control her, but I can once she stays within a few hundred yards. So she's on airplane mode, if you will, out of their reach, but within mine. We were going to try to do the same for 13 in Paris, but we assumed they'd shut off your connection to him. She came off the network after leaving Heathrow. I went to meet her at the airport but couldn't get a signal, so I went to the desk and told them my sister had a mental condition. Sure enough, she was the last to leave the plane. She just sat there frozen in her seat until I got within range and was able to switch her over to local control. How do you know how to do all this? Was bored one night a few months ago and had her tell me all about her inner workings while she was patrolling Piccadilly Circus. What the fuck are they doing? Why would they kill John Boy? Because of the information you got. We're next. We have enough information to shut them down if we can get it to the right person. Who's the right person? I'm not sure. Do you remember the night in O'Reilly's when Thompson talked about origins of the project? Kind of. He said there was a guy who was at a high level who had a cyborg project, who had the cyborg project shut down, but told another guy to do something, whatever it took. Yeah, I remember. Well, we need to find the guy who rejected the project. He was probably the guy who approved the human controllers who made the decisions to kill, but he probably had no idea what they were planning next. We need to drive to an airport that can get us to Brussels soon. You're just going to walk into his office? Well, why not call him? We need to show him the files. There's no way we can get those files to him through an email. They'll get intercepted. We need to force him to look at them, she said, glancing the agent's way. Ah, proof of the project that never should have been. So what else did you find out? We'll get off soon, so I'll tell you everything when we're on land. Thank you for listening. That was the end of that chapter.